It all started on a stormy night in Ashcroft, with rain beating against my windows like a sinister symphony. Returning home after a grueling day, a sense of unease settled over me like a thick fog. The restless downpour outside seemed to mirror the disquiet growing within. Inside my apartment, the tapping of raindrops on the window pane set an eerie backdrop as I changed out of my work clothes. Suddenly, a sharp knock at the door shattered the stillness. My heart leaped into a frantic rhythm, and a chill crawled down my spine. Rushing to dress, I approached the front door cautiously, peering through the peephole, only to find an empty porch. The feeling of being watched clung to me like a shadow, a haunting reminder of the unknown. As dawn broke, casting an eerie shadow through my room, I woke yet to another unsettling knock. This time, at an unnerving hour of 6 a.m., my pulse quickened and my mind raced to dismiss it as a mere coincidence. Hours later, I found myself checking the doorstep for any signs of delivery, but there was no one. The persistent knocking continued, its unpredictability gnawing at my sense of security. Locking myself up before work, I reassured myself that it was likely a prank or a case of mistaken identity. At work, I shared my concerns with friends, seeking solace in their reassurances, only to find their confusion mirrored mine. Driving back home one night, the deserted street seemed to stretch to infinite darkness, with every corner concealing a lurking threat. Arriving at my house, a figure darted from my porch, disappearing into the shadows as my car screeched to a halt. My heart racing, I remained frozen in my seat, consumed by a paralyzing fear. Summoning the police, an officer's visit brought me little comfort. No evidence, no crime. Their departure left me feeling more exposed than before. The days that followed held no signs of the mysterious figure, yet the sensation of being surveilled remained, gnawing at my sanity. On a Wednesday evening, my return home was met with an unsettling presence. Illuminated by the hallway light, a man sat at my kitchen table. Dread enveloped me as recognition struck, the face of the emotionally unstable ex-boyfriend from a year ago. His vacant eyes held a hollow emptiness as he recited rehearsed lines. Stifling terror, I sought an escape route. Darting upstairs, I locked myself in, dialing 911, and his fury erupted against my door. Each blow sent shudders of panic through me, the wood creaking and splintering under the onslaught. His footsteps faded downstairs as the police arrived, too late to apprehend him. The following day, he was apprehended at his apartment, his phone revealing hundreds of covertly taken pictures of my life. The court proceedings unveiled his dangerous obsession, forcing me to confront my deepest fears. His threats and twisted justifications plunged me deeper into a nightmare. Although justice prevailed, the scars he left etched themselves into my psyche, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can loom just beyond our doors. In the desolate town of Grimville, where shadows seemed to come alive under pale moonlight, I worked late shifts at an eerie local grocery store during my gap year between high school and college. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the store's bustling ambiance transformed into a haunting hush. By the time the clock struck 7, the customers had vanished, leaving me alone with an unsettling sense of anticipation. One ominous night, as I ventured towards the dimly lit parking lot, my heart jolted when I noticed a car stationed next to mine. An odd sensation prickled at the back of my neck, urging me to take a closer look. As my gaze met the car's window, I froze. A man sat inside, his face twisted into a sinister grin, his eyes locking onto mine. Fear gripped me, and I instinctively tore my gaze away, hurrying to escape the unnerving presence. The following day, I cautiously recounted the eerie encounter to a manager, hoping for some semblance of an explanation. Yet they casually dismissed it as a mere coincidence, leaving me alone to confront the mounting dread. Night after night, the man's unsettling presence returned, shadowing my every step in the store. His cold, calculating eyes seemed to track my every move. During one haunted evening, he wandered the aisles aimlessly, his very presence smothering me. Try as I might to avoid his gaze, an invisible force seemed to pull my eyes towards him. Recognition dawned as I realized his face from the parking lot, sending a shiver down my spine. The realization that he wasn't a random stranger intensified the unease that coiled within me. In the hushed stillness, his gaze bore into me, sending chills down my spine like icy tendrils. It was as if his malevolence was aimed solely at me. Each night I yearned for a customer to break the eerie silence, yet the store remained void of life, reverberating with an enigmatic man's unsettling aurora. Then, on a harrowing evening, he stood in line at my checkout lane. His eyes locked on mine. Panic surged through me as I tried to avert my gaze. But an invisible grip held my eyes captive. As he finally moved away, I dared to hope that I escaped his clutches, yet the lingering fear of his return remained. As the days turned into a haunting blur, a sense of impending doom gripped me. The knowledge that he could reappear at any moment like a malevolent specter kept me on edge. In the heart of the night, after the store was locked up, I hurried and made my way to my car, desperate to escape the eerie aurora. But then, a blinding light pierced the darkness. The man had returned, his car hurtling towards me, stopping abruptly right in front of mine. My heart raced like a caged animal as he lunged towards my car door, his twisted intentions all too clear. I locked my doors in a trembling panic, my mind racing as I grappled with every real possibility of my demise. In a moment as fleeting as a nightmare, he disappeared into the night, leaving me shaken and traumatized. I dialed the police, praying that they would bring an end to this living nightmare. Yet, despite their efforts, all attempts to identify the man from the blurry security footage proved fruitless, leaving the case shrouded in darkness. I couldn't endure the relentless torment any longer. I severed my ties with the grocery store, leaving behind the haunting specter of the sinister man. In the sprawling metropolis of Silverton, I, a 22-year-old college student, navigated the complexities of social interactions by turning to Tinder in search of a connection. Among the countless conversations, Natalia, a fellow student from my university, caught my attention. Eager to meet, I invited her for a coffee date at a nearby cafe, but when the appointed time arrived, the cafe echoed with my solitude. Natalia was nowhere to be found, leaving me bewildered and crestfallen. Heading back to campus, I crossed paths with an enigmatic man in a car who offered me a ride. My instincts prickled with unease, compelling me to decline and continue my journey. A week later, deja vu struck as the same car pulled up beside me again. The voice cut through the air, inquiring if I needed a lift back to campus. A mix of trepidation and confusion surged within me yet again as I quickly brushed him off. The question lingered. How did he know my destination? Back in the confines of my dorm room, I attempted to dismiss the disturbing encounters, swearing off Tinder temporarily. Despite my efforts, a chilling shiver crawled down my spine as I remembered the unsettling man in the car. My resolve to stay vigilant remained steadfast as I embarked on my daily journey to work. And then, it happened. The same car, the same driver, stopping beside me. Panic welled within me as I recognized it from the day I returned from that deserted coffee date. Instinctively, I ignored him, but my heart raced as he abandoned the wheel and started chasing me on foot. Fear ignited every fiber of my being as I sprinted down the sidewalk, the rhythm of my pounding heart harmonizing with the hurried footsteps. The stranger's presence felt like a menacing shadow, a relentless pursuer. My frantic search for refuge led me into a sanctuary of onlookers, a respite from his clutches. Eventually he retreated to his car, but the echoes of his pursuit continued to reverberate within me, even as I caught my breath at my workplace. In a whirlwind of emotions, I recounted the terrifying events to the police, whose swift response culminated in the apprehension of the stranger. The unsettling truth emerged. The man had utilized the guise of Natalia on Tinder to maliciously gather information about my life, my workplace, my daily routines, and my vulnerabilities. The weight of realization settled heavily as I grappled with the haunting revelation that I had been unknowingly stalked for an entire week. The malicious intent of the stranger sent shivers down my spine, casting a shadow of vulnerability that clung to me like a second skin. Even after the man was captured, the ghost of fear lingered. My newfound skepticism extended to every online interaction. The once familiar cityscape of Silverton is now cloaked in a cloak of uncertainty and potential danger. The ordeal taught me a harrowing lesson. The digital realm could be a breeding ground for malevolent intentions, harboring secrets and motives that elude even the most cautious eye. The experience forced me to become hyper-aware and vigilant, and to question the authenticity behind every virtual connection.